So here we are live once again. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I guess technically I probably should stop saying good evening. It's evening here on the East Coast of the United States at 8 p.m. But I know in the Philippines, where we often have at least one viewer, it's 8 o'clock Saturday morning. So I probably should just say hello from now on and stop saying good evening. Anyway, if it's your first time here, we're glad to have you here. And this is Friday Night Tech Talk, which we do every Friday night. I pick some articles that I think might be interesting to tech heads like myself. And we talk about them in the comments a little bit. And of course, if you're new here, if this is your first time, please type something in the comments, say hello, and let us know where you're from. And Eleanor was the first one in here tonight. She was here half an hour ago. So she's multitasking because she's also watching our granddaughter live at Colorado State in some of her graduation stuff that went on yesterday, last night, and tonight, and tomorrow night. So she's definitely multitasking. Luckily, we can watch some of that on YouTube live. So anyway, if it's your first time here, please say hello. Glad that Eleanor's here. Nobody else has checked in as yet. But as I said, we do this every Friday night. And I list show notes on my website. So let me show you guys where that is. Oh, well, before I do that, though, let me do what I often forget to do. You guys are usually interested in what phones I've taken to work. You know, I carry two phones. So today I had the OnePlus 13 and then Nothing Phone 3A Pro as my secondary. And the reason I had the OnePlus 13 because, you know, I bitch on the watches and I'm wearing my OnePlus Watch 3. So now let me take you over to my website and show you the show notes for tonight's show. So if you want to follow along in the notes, just go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com. Click on today's date. You'll get the show notes just for tonight's show. You can follow along, click on the articles as much as you want. And of course, you can always go and read the articles later if you so choose. And as always, while we're here, I'll give you a little preview of what we're going to go over tonight. And as far as I know, I don't think anybody else, you know, I didn't check to see if Ted had messaged me, but I'll do that right after this. I'll give you guys a little preview of what we're going to talk about tonight. So, we're going to start it off with this is a kind of a follow-up to a video that I did about about a lawmaker wanting to pass a law that there's not going to be any restrictions on AI development, which I think is really dumb. But I had an article that I found on CNBC. I just said dollars before safety. Between idiotic lawmakers pushing for unrestrained AI development and greedy CEO types, Skynet might be a real possibility. So I've got that on CNBC.com. You can see I get a little worked up about that one. Okay, then no huge presentation this week, but we did have Google kind of making a big deal of Google I/O, which is coming up next Tuesday and Wednesday. And they had a half an hour show called the Android Show I/O Edition. So that's kind of what I thought was the big deal of the week. And of course, everybody had that story. I pulled it from Mashable and I just said, preview to Google I/O, the Android Show, what we learned. So we'll check out that article. And following that up, found out the Nothing Phone 3 will be a premium phone. So they're going to try calling it a mid-ranger. I think it's going to be a flagship, at least based on the price. And I said Nothing Phone 3 will be premium, becoming one of the flagships that need killing, I guess. So I've got that on Phone Arena. The interesting thing is the video that I think I can play. I think I've learned how to do that. Was part of the Android show, but it's called Pei, the CEO of Nothing, and he's talking about the Nothing Phone 3, which hasn't come out yet, and he's telling us the price, and it's not cheap. So that's why I named it what I did. Following that, I guess what we'll call the serious story I picked out for today. I found the story on The Verge, and I just said, Bezos, you killed my reporter 6 years ago. All is forgiven. Let's make a deal. And like I said, I found the story on The Verge. A lot of you probably remember that when this Saudi Arabian reporter was killed, a lot of people thought the Saudi Arabian government did it. And he worked, even though he was Saudi Arabian, he worked for the Washington Post, but nobody ever proved anything. And I guess Amazon is making deals with the guy they suspect ordered him dead, but we'll see about that. So like I said, that was on The Verge. Next story will be Apple wants people, I said, manage your Apple devices with your mind. They want people to be able to control their devices purely with their mind. So interesting stuff, and they are working on it. That will be followed up by Gemini AI coming to Galaxy Watches and Galaxy Buds this summer. And again, this is another follow-up to the Android show for I/O. And finally, just because I try to keep up with these things, Microsoft to cut 7,000 positions in its latest layoff. And that I found on CNN Business. So those are the stories we'll go over tonight. So even though we're live, let me do a quick check and let me see if Ted has sent any. No, Ted hasn't sent me any message as yet. And since he hasn't sent me a message saying he wouldn't be here, because we didn't hear from him last week, that often means maybe he'll be dropping in. So we'll see. All right, nothing else new in the comments. So we will start with our first story. And as usual, if it's just me, it'll be a fairly quick show. So let's start with the first one. Dollars before safety, I said, between idiotic lawyers pushing for unrestrained AI development and greedy CEO types, Skynet might be a real possibility. So let's go check this out on CNBC. Okay. AI research takes a backseat to profits as Silicon Valley prioritizes products over safety, experts say. So like I said, this is kind of like a follow-up to the video I did just the other day. And this was published yesterday, and it was written by three, Hayden Field, Jonathan Vanian, and Jennifer Elias. So let's drop it into Reader View and get rid of these ads. I'm not going to say anything. You guys pretty much know how I feel about Sam Altman. Okay. Not long ago, Silicon Valley was where the world's leading artificial intelligence experts went to perform cutting-edge research. Meta, Google, and OpenAI opened their wallets for top talent, giving researchers, staff, computing power, and plenty of flexibility. With the support of their employers, the researchers published high-quality academic papers, openly sharing their breakthroughs with peers in academia and at rival companies. But that era has ended. Now experts say AI is all about the product. Since OpenAI released ChatGPT in late 2022, the tech industry has shifted its focus to building consumer-ready AI services, in many cases prioritizing commercialization over research. AI researchers and experts in the field told CNBC. The profit potential is massive. Some analysts predict $1 trillion in annual revenue by 2028. My guess is they're going to hit that even before that. The prospective repercussions terrify the corner of the AI universe concerned about safety. industry expert said, particularly as leading players pursue artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which is technology that rivals or exceeds human intelligence. In the race to stay competitive, tech companies are taking an increasing number of shortcuts, that's pretty scary, when it comes to the rigorous safety testing of their AI models before they are released to the public, industry experts told CNBC. James White, Chief Technology Officer at cybersecurity startup Calypso AI, said newer models are sacrificing security for quality. That's not good. That is, better responses by the AI chatbots. That means they're less likely to reject malicious kinds of prompts that could cause them to reveal ways to build bombs or sensitive information that hackers could exploit, White said. The models are getting better, but they're also more likely to be good at bad stuff, said White, whose company performs safety and security audits of popular models from Meta, Google, OpenAI, and other companies. It's easier to trick them to do bad stuff. The changes are readily apparent at Meta and Alphabet, which have deep prioritized their AI research labs, experts say. At Facebook's parent company, the Fundamental Artificial Intelligence Reliance, or FAIR, the Fundamental Artificial Intelligence Research, or FAIR, unit has been sidelined by Meta, GenAI, according to current and former employees. At Alphabet, the research group Google Brain is now part of DeepMind, the division that leads development of AI products at the tech company. So they're all kind of pushing the safety pieces aside, it seems like. CNBC spoke with more than a dozen AI professionals in Silicon Valley who collectively tell the story of a dramatic shift in the industry away from research and toward revenue-generating products. Some are former employees at the companies with direct knowledge of what they say is the prioritization of building new AI products at the expense of research and safety checks. They say employees face intensifying development timelines, reinforcing the idea that they can't afford to fall behind when it comes to getting new models and products to market. Some of the people asked not to be named because they weren't authorized to speak publicly on the matter. So they're rushing things. And I can tell you, as a former programmer developer myself, you start rushing, you're going to make mistakes, guaranteed. Okay. Meta's AI evolution. When Joel Pinot, I think, a Meta vice president and the head of the company's FAIR division, announced in April that she would be leaving her post, many former employees said they weren't surprised. They said they viewed it as solidifying the company's move away from AI research and towards prioritizing developing practical products. So more towards the money, less towards the safety. Today, as the world undergoes significant change, as the race for AI accelerates, and as Meta prepares for its next chapter, it's time to create space for others to pursue the work, Pinot wrote on LinkedIn, adding that she will formally leave the company May 30th. Pinot began leading FAIR in 2023. The unit was established a decade earlier to work on difficult computer science problems typically tackled by academia. Yann LeCun, one of the godfathers of modern AI, initially oversaw the project and instilled the research methodologies he learned from his time at the pioneering AT&T Bell Laboratories. You're going to learn a lot there, according to several former employees at Meta. Small research teams could work on a variety of bleeding-edge projects that may or may not pan out. The shift began when Meta laid off 21,000 employees, or nearly a quarter of its workforce, starting in late 2022. CEO Mark Zuckerberg kicked off 2023 by calling it the year of efficiency. FAIR researchers, as part of the cost-cutting measure, were directed to work more closely with product teams, several former employees said. 2 months before Pinot's announcement, one of the FAIR directors, Kim Hazelwood, left the company. Two people familiar with the matter said. Hazelwood helped oversee FAIR's Nexus unit, which manages computing resources for FAIR researchers. Her role was eliminated as part of Meta's plan to cut 5% of its workforce, the people said. Jolie Pineau of Meta, oh, that was probably under one of the photos. Okay. OpenAI's 2022 launch of ChatGPT caught Meta off guard, creating a sense of urgency to pour more resources into large language models, or LLMs, that were captivating the tech industry, the people said. Yeah, so when OpenAI became a big deal at the end of 2022, that's when the big race started between all these companies. In 2023, Meta began heavily pushing its freely available and open source Llama family of AI models to compete with OpenAI, Google, and others. And I got to give them credit. At least that's still an OpenAI model, which is good, I guess. But Zuckerberg and other executives convinced that LLMs were game-changing technologies, management had less incentive to let fair researchers work on far-flung projects, several former employees said. That meant deprioritizing research that could be viewed as having no impact on Meta's core business, such as FAIR's previous health care-related research into using AI to improve drug therapies. Since 2024, Meta Chief Product Officer Chris Cox has been overseeing FAIR as a way to bridge the gap between research and the product-focused Gen AI group, people familiar with the matter said. So they're trying to combine things and, I guess, make them more profitable too. The Gen AI unit oversees the Llama family of AI models and the Meta AI digital assistant, the two most important pillars of Meta's AI strategy. Under Cox, the Gen AI unit has been siphoning more computing resources and team members from FAIR due to its elevated status at Meta, the people said. Many researchers have transferred to Gen AI or left the company entirely to launch their own research-focused startups or join rivals, several of the former employees said. When Zuckerberg has some internal support, while Zuckerberg has some internal support for pushing the Gen AI group to rapidly develop real-world products, in other words, money-making, there's also concern among some staffers that Meta is now less able to develop industry-leading breakthroughs that can be derived from experimental work, former employee says. That leaves Meta to chase its rivals. A high-profile example landed in January when Chinese lab DeepSeek, and we did a few stories on that, released its R1 model, catching Meta off guard. Well, they caught everybody off guard. The startup claimed it was able to develop a model as capable as its American counterparts, but with training at a fraction of the cost. And DeepSeek is still there. We just don't hear about it so much. Meta quickly implemented some of DeepSeek's innovative techniques for its Llama 4 family of AI models that were released in April, former employees said. The AI research community had a mixed reaction to the smaller versions of Llama 4, but Meta said the biggest and most powerful Llama 4 variant is still being trained. The company in April also released security and safety tools for developers to use when building apps with Meta's Llama 4 AI models. These tools help mitigate the chances of Llama 4 unintentionally leaking sensitive information or producing harmful content, Meta said. Our commitment to FAIR remains strong, a Meta spokesperson told CNBC. Our strategy and plans will not change as a result of recent developments. In a statement to CNBC, Pineau said she is enthusiastic about Meta's overall AI work and strategy. Makes you wonder why she's quitting them. There continues to be strong support for exploratory research and FAIR as a distinct organization in Meta, Pineau said. The time was simply right for me personally to refocus my energy before jumping into a new venture. Meta on Thursday named FAIR co-founder Rob Fergus as Pineau's replacement. Fergus will return to the company to serve as director at Meta and head of FAIR, according to his LinkedIn profile. He was most recently a research director at Google DeepMind. Meta's commitment to FAIR and long-term research remains unwavering, Fergus said in a LinkedIn post. We're working towards building human-level experiences that transform the way we interact with technology and are dedicated to leading and advancing AI research. Google can't keep building nanny products. Google released its latest and most powerful AI model, Gemini 2.5, in March. The company described it as our most intelligent AI model and wrote in a March 25 blog post that its new models are capable of reasoning through their thoughts before responding, resulting in enhanced performance and improved accuracy. And I tend to use Gemini way more than any of the others. For weeks, Gemini 2.5 was missing a model card, meaning Google did not share information about how the AI model worked or its limitations and potential dangers upon release. So when they stop showing model cards, it means they're being more secretive about how they're developing and what. Model cards are a common tool for AI transparency, exactly. A Google website compares model cards to food nutrition labels. They outline the key facts about a model in a clear, digestible format, the website says. By making this information easy to access, model cards support responsible AI development and the adoption of robust industry-wide standards for broad transparency and evaluation practices, the website says. So if they're showing less model cards, it means they're getting more secretive. Google wrote in an April 2nd blog post that it evaluates its most advanced models, such as Gemini, for potential dangerous capabilities prior to their release, we hope. Google later updated the blog to remove the words prior to their release. So now they're saying they evaluate it after they release it? That's kind of scary. Okay. Without a model card for Gemini 2.5, the public had no way of knowing which safety evaluations were conducted. Right, and that's what they wanted. They didn't want us to know. Or whether DeepMind checked for dangerous capabilities at all. Right. In response to CNBC's inquiry on April 2nd about Gemini 2.5's missing model card, a Google spokesperson said that a tech report with additional safety information and model cards are forthcoming. I bet you they weren't. Google published an incomplete, model card on April 16th and updated on April 28th, more than a month after the AI models released, to include information about Gemini 2.5's dangerous compatibility evaluations. Those assessments are important for gauging the safety of a model, whether people can use the models to learn how to build chemical or nuclear weapons or hack into important systems. Yeah, I said it's important. These checks also determine whether a model is capable of autonomously replicating itself, which could lead to a company losing control of it. Running tests for those capabilities requires more time and resources than simple automatic safety evaluations, according to industry experts. So they're, loosening up things, I guess is one way to say it. The Financial Times in March reported that Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis had installed a more rigorous vetting process for internal research papers to be published. That's good. The clampdown at Google is particularly notable because the company's Transformers technology gained recognition across Silicon Valley through that type of shared research. Transformers were critical to OpenAI's development of ChatGPT and the rise of generative AI. Google co-founder Sergey Brin told staffers at DeepMind and Gemini in February that competition had accelerated and the final race to AGI is afoot. Yeah, I think that race is going to be a lot of years, according to a memo viewed by CNBC. We have all the ingredients to win this race, but we are going to have to turbocharge our efforts. Sounds awfully dangerous to me. Brin said in the memo that Google has to speed up the process of testing AI models, not good. And the company needs lots of ideas that we can test quickly. We need real wins that scale, Brin wrote. In his memo, Brin also wrote that the company's methods have a habit of minor tweaking and overfitting products for evaluations and snipping the products at checkpoints. He said employees need to build capable products and to trust our users more. I wonder what that means. We can't keep building nanny products, Bryn wrote. Our products are overrun with filters and punts of various kinds. I guess he wants some of the safety stuff taken away, I guess. A Google spokesperson told CNBC that the company has always been committed to advancing AI responsibly. We continue to do that through the safe development and deployment of our technology and research contributions to the broader ecosystem, the spokesperson said. OpenAI's rush to safety testing. Why am I not surprised? The debate of product versus research is at the center of OpenAI's existence. The company was founded as a nonprofit research lab in 2015 and is now in the midst of a contentious effort to transform into a for-profit entity. Well, not anymore, but we'll find that out in the next paragraph. That's the direction co-founder and CEO Sam Altman has been pushing toward for years. On May 5th, though, OpenAI bowed to pressure from civic leaders and former employees, announcing that its nonprofit would retain control of the company even as it restructures into a public benefit corporation. And we reported on that as soon as it happened. Nissan Steinon, I guess, worked at OpenAI from 2018 to 2020 and was among a group of former employees urging California and Delaware not to approve OpenAI's restructuring effort. And eventually they pulled that back. OpenAI may one day build technology that could get us all killed. I'm not surprised. Steinon wrote in a statement in April, it is to OpenAI's credit that it's controlled by a nonprofit with a duty to humanity. But even with the nonprofit maintaining control and majority ownership, OpenAI is speedily working to commercialize products as competition heats up in generative AI. So like Google, they're both speeding. That's the problem. And it may have rushed the rollout, there it is, rushed the rollout of its O1 reasoning model last year, according to some portions of its model card. Results of the model's preparedness evaluations, the test OpenAI runs to access an AI model's dangerous capabilities and other risks, were based on earlier versions of O1. Get this, they had not been run on the final version of the model, so let's not test the final version or check it for safety, according to its model card, which is publicly available. Johannes Hedek, OpenAI's head of safety systems, told CNBC in an interview that the company ran its preparedness evaluations on near final versions, not final, of the O1 model. Minor variations to the model that took place after those tests wouldn't have contributed to significant jumps in its intelligence or reasoning. Well, they don't know that because they weren't testing it, and thus wouldn't require additional evaluations, he said. Still, Hedek acknowledged that OpenAI missed an opportunity to more clearly explain the difference. OpenAI's newest reasoning model, O3, released in April, seems to hallucinate more than twice as often as O1. I wonder if that has anything to do with not testing it so much. According to the model card, when an AI model hallucinates, it produces falsehoods or illogical information, or maybe even lies to you. OpenAI has been criticized for reportedly slashing safety testing times from months to days and for omitting the requirement to safety test fine-tuned models in its latest preparedness framework. Hedek said that OpenAI has decreased the time needed for safety testing, because the company has improved its testing effectiveness and efficiency. A company spokesperson said OpenAI has allocated more AI infrastructure and personnel towards safety testing and has increased resources for paying experts and growing its network of external testers. In April, the company shipped GPT-4.1, one of its new models, without a safety report. That's nice, as the model was not designated by OpenAI as a frontier model, which is the term used by the tech industry to refer to a bleeding-edge, large-scale AI model. So if it's not a frontier model, that's top of the line. They're not testing it as much, I guess. One of OpenAI's small revisions caused a big wave in April. Within days of updating its GPT-4o model, OpenAI rolled back the changes after screenshots of overly flattering responses to chat GPT users went viral online. OpenAI said in a blog post explaining its decision that those types of responses to user inquiries raise safety concerns. Gee, I wonder why, including around issues like mental health, emotional over-reliance, or risky behavior. OpenAI said in the blog post that it opted to release the model even after some expert testers flagged as behavior flux. So you hire these testers and they tell you something's wrong and you let it go anyway. That's what he's saying. In the end, we decided to launch the model due to the positive signals from the users who tried out the model. Unfortunately, so they're ignoring the negative signals, just the positive signals counted. Unfortunately, this was the wrong call, OpenAI wrote. Looking back, the qualitative assessments were hinting at something important, and we should have paid closer attention. You think? They were picking up on a blind spot in our other evals and metrics. Meter, a company OpenAI partners with to test and evaluate its models for safety, said in a recent blog post that it was given less time to test the O3 and O4 mini models than previously. Gee, what a surprise. Limitations in this evaluation prevent us from making robust capability assessments, so they didn't give them time to really test them. Meta also wrote that it had insufficient access to data, that would be important in determining the potential dangers of the two models. So you're paying them to do this, and then you don't let them do it. The company said it wasn't able to access the OpenAI model's internal reasoning, which is likely to contain important information for interpreting our results. However, Meta said OpenAI shared helpful information on some of their own evaluation, so they didn't even tell them everything. So, hey, Will's here. Will, you should come in here. At least I would hope you'd come in here, but we're glad you're here either way. Okay, almost finished with this story, folks. I just consider this important because they're skimming out on their safety testing. OpenAI spokesperson said the company is piloting secure ways of sharing chains of thought for Meta's research as well as for other third-party organizations. Stephen Adler, a former safety researcher at OpenAI, told CNBC that safety testing a model before it's rolled out is no longer enough to safeguard against potential dangers. Well, I guess he would know. You need to be vigilant before and during training to reduce the chance of creating a very capable misaligned model in the first place, Adler said. He warned that companies such as OpenAI are backed into a corner when they create capable but misaligned models with goals that are different from the ones they intended to build. Unfortunately, we don't yet have strong scientific knowledge for fixing these models, just ways of papering over the behavior. Well, that's bad. So, if you get the idea that they're paying less and less attention to safety in development, that's exactly what they're doing. So, I just thought that was kind of important to start out with. So, Brian's in here. Glad you're here, brother. And in Hawaii, okay. Brian's in Hawaii. Got to catch the replay later. Okay, go have yourself. But he's still faithful enough to donate. You're awesome, man. Enjoy yourself, sir. All right. Maybe we'll get lucky and Will pop in here, but Will works an awful lot, so he's probably tired. But we'll see. So that's story number one, and that's everything on the comments. So we're going to go on to story number two, which to me was kind of the big story of the week. And yes, I know that was a very long article. And yes, I'm kind of dry. Let me get a little swig of my green tea. All right, moving on. Preview to Google I.O., the Android show, what we learned. And I pulled this from Mashable, so let's go take a look. Everything we learned at the Android Show event from Google. The latest on Android 16, WatchOS 6, Gemini AI, and much more. It was written by Matt Binder 3 days ago. Let's go to read review. Get rid of some of these ads. Okay. Here's everything that was announced at Google's Android Show I/O Edition 2025. Google I/O 2025 is just 1 week away, and I told you it's Tuesday and Wednesday next week. But if you just can't wait, Google held a special event on Tuesday, Android Show I/O Edition, which gave a look at some new big things headed to Android devices with the Android 16 update. Google shared some interesting stats during the live stream. For example, there are 3 billion active Android devices around the world, making it the most popular mobile operating system. More than 1 billion messages are sent in the US alone across all mobile devices, iOS included, using the new RCS messaging standard, which allows Android and iOS users to easily text as one big happy family, we hope. The real highlights, however, are in all the new features Google announced today. Here's everything you need to know from the Android Show event. According to Google, Android 16 will feature the operating system's biggest redesign in years with a whole new look and feel. Material 3 Expressive brings a brand new UI to Android devices, which can be tailored to each individual user. And I think Will is in here. Are you here? Oh. Well, Will, he clicked in here.
George, what's going on?
There you are. Glad to have you here, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Figured I'll pop in for a little bit.
Okay. You worked today together?
What's up?
I gather you worked today?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tired, but I'm very happy that you popped in. Should I continue on with this article that I'm in on the Google?
Yeah, keep reading. I can't read, George, but I can.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep on. All right. So, a whole new look and feel. Material 3 Expressive brings a brand new UI to Android devices, which can be tailored to each individual user. For example, Android 16's Material 3 Expressive allows users to personalize everything from the device interface's colors, fonts, and even animations. Even haptic rumbles can be connected to on-screen swipes, that's cool, and slides. A refined home screen grid will also bring a neater, more visually pleasing app layout to user screens. And I guess that's what this looks like right here, I guess. Another new Android 16 feature is live updates, which will highlight the most important notifications on the user's lock screen. That's cool. Rideshare services, food deliveries, and navigation apps will all be prioritized in order to provide users with up-to-date information on time-sensitive events so that they aren't pushed down the screen with less important notifications. That's also good. Google says that Pixel devices will be the first to get Android 16 when it rolls out later this year. Right now, Wear OS 6. Google's smartwatch operating system is also getting a big visual update, and we'll have more on that in another story further down. In what the company is calling its most expressive version yet. Wear OS 6 will have new Material 3 Expressive UI that embraces the circular screen of the smartwatches and matches the on-screen visuals to the physical display shape of each smartwatch device. Transitions and animations that Android users have become accustomed to will also be coming to Wear OS 6, along with 10% battery improvement for smartwatches that update to the new operating system. That's good. In addition to all that, Google Assistant will be replaced with Gemini, which is they're replacing it everywhere, bringing Google's AI model to a smartwatch operating system. And I'm used to using Gemini on my phones already, so that's fine with me. Gemini across all devices. Gemini isn't just coming to smartwatches either. Google announced that Gemini will be rolled out across all of its Android devices. That's right, Google is bringing AI to your car, your watch, and your TV. Google's AI Gemini will soon be coming to Android Auto and Google built-in cars in order to bring AI assistant abilities to drivers without having to use their smartphone. For example, drivers can conversationally ask Gemini details about locations on their map app, and Google's AI chatbot will provide the user with real-time facts and other information based on the query. And yeah, the whole conversational thing with Gemini that's why I use it so much. Gemini was also announced for smart TVs, which will bring AI chatbot capabilities to users while watching their favorite movies and television shows. And I did watch the whole presentation, but I don't remember them showing much about the TV, but I'm an old man, so you don't want to go by me. And finally, Google teased that Gemini would be integrated into Android XR, the company's operating system for virtual and augmented reality headsets and smart glasses. Google also shared some new Gemini features for Android smartphones, which allow the user to screen record documents and snap photos of real-world items. So that's much like Microsoft was doing with Android 11. And then share the content with Gemini in order to receive summaries or ask questions. Yeah, sounds exactly like what Microsoft was doing. Safety and security. Perhaps the biggest, the new Google Find Hub will replace Find My Device. In Find Hub, it's replacing the whole Find My Device thing. Perhaps the biggest news from the Info Show I/O edition is that Find My Device is no more. Find My Device is now known as Find Hub in order to reflect that the tracking feature isn't just for devices anymore. Find Hub can be used to check on the location of loved ones, share locations with friends and families, and more. That's right, I remember she did this presentation on that. Google shared that they are working with new tracker tag companies such as July, which makes Bluetooth tag embedded smart luggage. Google is also working with major airline partners so users can share their tags and track them through the airline when traveling. That's cool. So if they lose your luggage, at least you'll know where it is. Disney will also soon release its own theme tracker tags with popular Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars characters. On the cybersecurity end of things, Google shared how Google Messages is continuing to get smarter when it comes to, you hear that, Will? When it comes to text message scams. Android's enhanced protections have been able to detect even newer schemes, that's true, such as the recent Easy Pass toll road scam, and we did an article about that. All in all, there was nothing too groundbreaking announced at the Android Show I/O edition. However, what was announced will bring some major changes and upgrades across a slew of devices in the coming months. Google packed a lot into a roughly 30-minute event, so we can only imagine what more they have in store at Google I/O next week. So yeah, I thought they did a nice job in that 30 minutes. So you still there? Oh, wait a minute. Ted here too? Ted, are you there? Yeah, it looks like Ted is here. Let me stop screen for a minute. Hey, you guys can see neither one of them are showing their faces. All right, who just popped in? Okay, I got both of you now.
I did watch that 30-minute thing. It was pretty
What'd you
cool.
think?
It was cool. Like the new Android, the refresh, it looks good. They're
I
always doing
thought
the
so
same
too.
thing. So
Yeah.
Apple's doing
Ted, did you
theirs, and I
see
guess
any of it?
Google's doing theirs.
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you both popped in here. So, were you able to hear me read that article, Ted?
I'm afraid not. Which one did I miss?
The Android show, the second one.
Oh, the 30-minute show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. It seemed interesting. Okay. Will, you have anything else you want to say? You want me to go on? All right. Will, I think is busy. I think he's popping in and out. All right. Ted, I'm going to go on to the next story. Oh, Will. All right, Will, which one are you in now? Should I get rid of the other one?
Yeah, get rid of the old one.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think the event was whatever that was, that little thing. It was cool. I don't think nobody's gonna use that airline thing because like Android announces all these good things, but nobody even gonna know about it.
Well, I would think, though, with the amount of luggage that airlines seem to be increasingly losing, I would think people would want to know about that one.
Yeah, but if Apple released that feature, they would be like advertising it on commercials. You know what I mean? Google's
Well,
just
that's
gonna put
true.
it out on this thing, and they're not gonna talk about it no more. So nobody's gonna know.
But I'm hoping that would be the kind of thing that airline passengers would be passing around by word of mouth. I mean, I don't know, but I just think it's a possibility.
Yeah, you have more faith in Google's marketing than me.
Well, it's not the marketing. I think people would want something that's going to help them know what the heck the airlines did with their luggage. That's what I'm
Yeah,
depending on. So, okay,
I think
I'm going to go.
they did a good job with the watch update. Did you see how it like rounded? They
Yes,
like
they did.
rounded the elements. I think that's nice.
And I have a story going further down. We'll have a little story about that too, a little more in depth. But I'm going to, Ted, you still here? I know Ted likes to get up and walk away. But in any case, I'm going to go to the next story because if you guys remember in the past, I've had trouble replaying or playing videos while we're broadcasting. I think I've learned how to do that, but you guys are going to have to let me know. That's going to come up in this story. So I'm going to go ahead. Nothing. Oh, first I better present screen again, right? Better if I share it. Okay. Here. Okay. All right. Nothing Phone 3 will be premium. I wrote this. Becoming one of the flagships that need killing, I guess. That's what I thought. But you'll see what I mean about when you find out what the prices of the new phone is. So I've got this on Phone Arena. So let's check it out. The funny thing is, the little video that I have in here actually came from that Android device. It was a part of it. So hopefully you guys will be able to see it. Let's see. Do I have this shared properly? I believe so. Okay. Carl Pay reveals the price of the Nothing Phone 3, and it's pretty ugly. Yeah, that's true. Nothing Phone 3 will be the company, now get this, will be the company's first mid-range phone with a flagship price. I don't know why they're saying mid-range phone. This is not a mid-range phone. This is a flagship phone. It's written by Cosmin Vasily, and it was published 3 days ago. So I'm going to drop it into review. And like I said, I think I'm going to be playing a video as we go down. Hopefully it'll work okay, but let me get through it quickly. One of the companies unexpectedly featured at Google's Android show, Nothing, is expected to launch one of the most anticipated phones of the year, the Phone 3. In a 2-minute video, the company's co-founder, Carl Pay, shared important information about the Nothing Phone 3, which he did. And I'm going to try to play that whole video. Before we go in depth, it's worth mentioning that despite the fact that Nothing Phone 3 will be the company's top-of-the-line product, it will remain a mid-range phone. I don't see how they can say that. A segment that the UK-based brand has been specializing in since the beginning. Moving on to the actual information revealed by Carl Pay, there's no way to sugarcoat this. Nothing Phone 3 will cost around £800. That's like $1,000 in US money. If this turns out to be accurate, then the Phone 3 will be a mid-range phone with a flagship price, which is ironic considering that Carl Pay's previous company, OnePlus, is known for making flagship with mid-range prices, the so-called flagship killers. That's why I named it the way I did. The reason the Phone 3 will be much more expensive. I think, well, it's not expensive, than anything the company has released in the market until now, is because nothing is determined to go all in on the new device. What this means is that Nothing Phone 3 will feature premium materials, major performance upgrades, and software that really levels things up, at least according to Carl Pei. Nothing has made a name for itself as an innovative company, not just in the smartphone industry, but also in the phone accessory segment. Nothing's design signature is so different than anything available on the market that the company's phones are recognizable from a mile away. And as you can see, I have mine with me. Yes, they are very, very recognizable even from a distance. So, and I'm loving my Nothing Phone 3A Pro. Nothing Phone 3, the upcoming Phone 3 is likely to feature the same transparent design that made the company's phone so popular among customers, but it will be interesting to see what Nothing plans to bring new to the table considering the higher price. Yeah, especially since with the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, which is a mid-range phone or budget phone, I think it has great cameras. So interesting to see what kind of cameras they come up with this more expensive model. So let me drop this out of reader view, because I think we'll be able to play the video. Okay. So I'm going to try to play this video. You guys let me know if there are comments. If you're not seeing it, or Ted or Will, you let me know if you don't hear it. But I think I learned how to do this. So here we go.
I hear it.
Yep, it's all good.
About what it can do. It's how it makes you feel. Over the past 4 years, we've done things our own way. As the only smartphone company to break through in over a decade. No shortcuts, no templates, just the belief that tech should feel exciting again. Design is how we bring that philosophy to life. It's not just how our products look, it's how they feel to use, and how they help you feel more focused and creative. Phone 3A and 3A Pro are our clearest expression of that so far. Iconic design, a user-first OS, and real value. Everything that makes nothing feel like nothing. And we're only just getting started. Phone 3 is coming this summer, and we're going all in. Premium materials, major performance upgrades, and software that really levels things up. It's our first true flagship smartphone. And since you're here, a little early clue on the price. It'll land somewhere around 800 pounds. We're taking the best of Android. Secure, powerful, deeply capable, and combining it with our take on design, experience, and how people actually want to feel while using their phone. So when you choose a Nothing phone, you're getting the best of Android in a package that feels completely different. We don't design for our community, we design with them. Nearly 200,000 people actively contribute to our roadmap. Phone 2A Plus Community Edition showed what's possible when you create tech with people, not just for them. And we're proud it picked up an IF Gold Award for design, proof that this kind of collaboration works. People are choosing Nothing because they want tech that feels personal, that sparks creativity, and that has personality. We're at a really exciting point in tech. And now, everything we built so far, the design, the community, the ecosystem, it's all coming together in Nothing OS. It's our vision for how AI should work, not just bolted on, but built in. A system that learns from you and works with you, less of a menu, more like a teammate. We're building the tech company we wish existed, one that creates with its community and brings joy and originality back to the category. And with Android by our side, the best is still ahead. For more information on the Phone 3A series, click the link below in the description. Check out the Android Show IO Edition for the latest from Android.
So what I thought was cool is that Google actually included that as part of their presentation. So, and I'm glad you guys could hear everything. So at least I learned how to do that. I did a lot of research and figured it out. So what you guys think of this Nothing Phone 3?
I've never seen someone with a Nothing phone.
Okay, well,
So,
you see this
well, no,
phone,
when-
don't you?
Well, you're the only one. I don't know what he's talking about, but that price is outrageous.
I totally agree. But you should know that
Maybe it has a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. Would it be
I don't
ridiculous?
care what's in it. That's crazy.
I agree. But you should know, Will, one of the girls in one of the enterprise branches in the next town up in Cleveland, Tennessee, she actually has the same Nothing Phone 3A Pro that I have, and I just happened to see it on her desk one day. I said, "Hey, I've got that too," and I had it with me. So I have seen somebody else actually have that phone.
Yeah, I just think they're crazy. Like, what are they doing? Oh, what do I know?
I kind of think so too, but I guess we'll have to wait till it comes out. I'm gathering it's probably going to be out sometime in June, I think. So what do you think, Ted?
I need to see more before I can make a judgment.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait till it comes out. But if I had to guess right now, I probably am not going to get it because I have the Nothing Phone 3A Pro and I have the Nothing Phone 2, which I love dearly. And I think
Was
the
that a
Nothing Phone
circular
3,
camera on the back?
yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my god!
let me.
Okay.
No, I think it looks great. I'm used to it though because
Yeah,
I
y'all
also
like them. I don't like the circular camera.
I also have my One Plus, so I'm kind of used to these circular phones,
Yeah,
circular cameras.
they copied OnePlus. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like the circular.
See, I do, I guess it's just because I got used to. What about you, Ted?
I like them. No,
Okay. Yeah, we have to ask the real photographer. So the real photographer does like him, okay?
As long as it
Okay.
takes good pictures, yeah, I like them.
Okay.
It could be
Well,
a trapezoid for
not
all I
real
care.
excited,
Let
but-
it take good pictures.
Okay. Yeah, I think this thing takes very good pictures for a mid-range phone. Now, the next story that I've got, Ted, you've got it. Do you want to read this one? This is a pretty serious story. This is about the reporter that got killed about 6 years ago in
Ooh.
Saudi
Oh,
Arabia.
this guy, Khashoggi.
Yes. You want to do that story because it's pretty heavy duty. But The Verge had it. I figured, what the heck? I'm going to report on it. So what I said, let me share screen again
You
because
take
I want
this
to show.
one, actually.
You say you will or you won't?
No, I won't.
Okay, all right, I'll do it. I'm going to share screen again.
I'll take the next one.
Wait a minute. I don't want this one. Let me stop screen for a sec. And I want this. Okay. All right, I'm going to share screen again. Yeah, this one is pretty serious stuff. But I just thought I should, since The Verge had it this week, I thought I should show it. So here's what I said. You guys may disapprove. Bezos, you killed my reporter 6 years ago. All is forgiven. Let's make a deal. And the whole point is the money talks. So I got this on The Verge, so let's go take a look. Jeff Bezos makes his most ghoulish deal yet. And if you guys don't remember the story on this reporter, I'll give you a little reminder. I'm going to see if I can get this into reader view. Okay. I had trouble yesterday messing around with the reader view, but once I got in there, it's okay. All right, so this was written yesterday by Elizabeth Lopato. So this is a very quick one, but I'm going to give you a little of the background too. Watching the behavior of our tech overlords has answered questions I never thought I'd ask. How do you NDA an army of baby mamas? Is there anything more embarrassing than impersonating Benson Boone? Also, who is Benson Boone? I don't know Benson Boone. And now the latest. How long after a sovereign ruler of a repressive state murders one of your colonists should you make a deal with him? The answer, it turns out, is a little over 6 years. In October 2018, Jamal Khashoggi, a writer for the Jeff Bezos-owned Washington Post, was killed and dismembered, they say. I don't know how they know that since they don't have his body. With the approval of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, better known as MBS, after Khashoggi entered a Saudi consulate in
Mohammed Bonesaw.
paperwork for his upcoming marriage.
I thought he
Now,
said Ben Salmon. I had salmon tonight for dinner.
Ben Salman, it's Ben Salman, yeah. Okay. Now,
Mohammed Bonesaw.
let me stop screen for a minute. I'm going to cut over to the other story that I have to give you a little background on him, just a little quick one. But in case anybody didn't know who this was, I wanted them to know. So I got this from Wikipedia. Okay. Jamal Khashoggi. Khashoggi served as editor for the Saudi Arabian newspaper. So he was a Saudi, Al Watan, turning it into a platform for Saudi progressives. Khashoggi fled Saudi Arabia in September 2017 and went into self-imposed exile. He said that the Saudi government hadn't banned him from Twitter, and he later wrote newspaper articles critical, and this is what got him killed, of the Saudi government. Khashoggi had been sharply critical of Saudi rulers King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He also opposed the Saudi Arabian-led intervention in Yemen. Now get this, in October 2018, Khashoggi entered the Saudi, so he's in Istanbul, he's not even in Saudi, entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to obtain documents related to his planned marriage, but was never seen leaving. There have been news reports claiming that he had been killed and dismembered inside. An inspection of the consulate by Saudi and Turkish officials took place on 15th October. Initially, get this, the Saudi government denied the death, but following shifting explanations, and this was in the news a lot, I remember 6 years ago, for Khashoggi, that Saudi Arabia's Attorney General eventually stated that the murder was premeditated. Now, nobody admitted putting a hit on the guy, so we should know that. By November 16, 2018, the Central Intelligence Agency had concluded that Mohammed bin Salman ordered Khashoggi's assassination. So that's the background that I want to give you guys. Now, let me go stop screen. We go back to the other one, and we'll finish this up. And I know it's very serious, but I thought it probably needed to be told since Bezos decided to make a deal with that particular person. All right, back to the article. In October 2018, Jamal Khashoggi, writer for the Washington Post, was killed and dismembered with the approval, now they're saying that, we don't know that, of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. After Khashoggi entered the Saudi consulate, Istanbul got paperwork for his upcoming marriage. His body has never been found. That's why I'm like, how did they know it was dismembered then? On May 13th, Bezos' Amazon announced it would work with Humane MBS's AI company, in other words, the Princess AI company, to build an AI zone in Saudi Arabia. And the two companies will spend more than $5 billion in the process. Saudi money is old news in the tech industry. The Public Investment Fund has sloshed into lots of startups, either directly or via intermediaries like SoftBank. Morally bankrupt money grubbers such as Andreessen Horowitz have been wooing Saudi funds for a while. Perhaps that's the real reason they endorsed the Saudis' preferred candidate. This isn't the first deal for Amazon either. In March, Amazon pledged to invest $5 billion to build data centers in a country that's screaming to look futuristic. So I'm going to stop it there. The story is all about pointing out when it comes to money, that's what counts. And I think that story really does prove it. So that was my real serious one for the night. All right, Ted, you want to take the next one? Or anybody want to make any comment on that story? I think everything's been said, but either of you guys want to talk about it?
You think Bezos is maybe Bezos is just giving him the benefit of the doubt?
It could be. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you remember, but 6 years ago, the story was in the news for a couple of months, but nothing ever came of it.
They said that Khashoggi had an Apple Watch that had the recording of his murder.
Oh, so is that how they knew he got I keep wondering how they knew he got dismembered. Maybe that's how. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Will, you want to say anything on that, or are you still there? Okay, I guess we're good. All right, Ted, you want to take the next one on the Apple devices?
Yeah, I'll take the next one.
All right, so I said manage your Apple devices with your minds. Interesting stuff. I got it on Phone Arena.
With my mind.
With your mind. Okay, so
Apple wants certain users to navigate their phones, iPads, and Macs using mind control. Apple is working with partners to make mind control of the iPhone a reality.
Yep.
By Alan Friedman.
All right, going into reader view. Okay.
Apple device users can navigate the screens on their phones with their fingers and even their voices. Vision Pro can open an app with the user's eyes. Eventually, Apple wants its customers to control their devices with their minds. This isn't a new concept. Back in 2011, we told you about a company named PLX Devices that created the X-Wave brainwave detecting headset for mobile devices. The company said that at the time, the headset can sense and detect human brainwaves, interpret them, and connect it to the everyday technology. At the time, PLX website said that its technology, the headset, can sense and detect human brainwaves, interpret and connect it to everyday technology. Company is now bankrupt. However, the Wall Street Journal today reports that Apple is working on a brain-computer interface that one day would allow iPhones users to use their minds to run their phones. Apple believes mind control will help the disabled control the iPhone and other Apple products. Apple believes that by coming up with these interfaces, it will allow many disabled people to use brain implants as a way to send out neural signals. These signals will help those who can't move their hands control their iPhone and other Apple devices. Using brainwaves to navigate the Apple devices would be a major quality of life improvement for those suffering from serious spinal cord injuries or diseases such as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Yeah. Now this picture is actually laying on somebody's brain.
Oh. The Stentrode interface is placed on top of a person's brain to help them control his iPhone using neural signals.
Yep.
Huh.
Now, as you go down, you'll see it works a little different than Elon's, but this is pretty good too. Go ahead.
Apple is working with Synchron, and the new technology means that instead of seeing user signals his intention by watching his movement, the device uses decoded brain signals to figure out what the user wants to happen next. Synchron makes a stent-like device placed on top of the brain called a stentrode that uses electrodes to read brain signals. The signals are translated and help select icons on the screen. Mark Jackson was an early tester of stentrode implant. Wearing an Apple Vision Pro headset, he was able to feel as though he was on the ledge of a mountain in the Swiss Alps and feel his legs shake. In reality, Jackson suffers from ALS, can't travel out of his home in Pittsburgh, and cannot stand up. He's learning to control iPhone, iPad, and Vision Pro using connection between his stentrode implant and Apple's various operating systems. Brain interface computer companies have the job of tricking computers into thinking that the signals coming from the brain implants are coming from a computer mouse. Apple plans on introducing a standard for the implants later this year that will allow them to do more. Since 2019, Synchron has employed this stentrode in 10 people. The first people to have it, Elon Musk's Neuralink implanted, can move a cursor faster with his thoughts than some people can move it using a mouse. The company's N1 implant can collect more data from the user's brain than Synchron's implant. That's because the N1 has 1,000 electrodes that pick up neural activity compared to the 16 for the stentrode. Additionally, the former electrodes are placed inside the brain rather than on top of it as done with stentrode. According to Morgan Stanley, as many as 150,000 people who suffer from critical upper limb impairments would be early candidates to use this technology. The financial services firm sees the first commercial approval for one of the implanted systems take place no earlier than 2030. Synchron Chief Executive Tom Moxley says he expects his company to receive approval before that year. It should be noted that Elon believes that these implants have the ability to help everyone, not just disabled or suffering with a crippling disease. Musk sees this technology improving the capabilities of the brain, enabling people to compete with super intelligent AI systems. Okay.
So I just think that's a pretty admirable thing to be trying to work out. So I just thought that was a very good story. So, I guess Will is not with us anymore, so it's just you and I, Ted. All right, moving on. Now, keep in mind, anybody watching that has anything they want to say about any of the stories, say so in the comments, and we'll discuss. but I'm going to move on down. Okay. Are you yawning? What are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I had too much pasta, so my stomach feels like it's about to burst.
Okay. I hope you have some Tums or something handy. All right, I'm moving on to the next story. I said Gemini AI coming to Galaxy Watches and Galaxy Buds this summer. This goes back to the other story that about Google's event, and this goes a little more in depth. So I'm going to read this one. This was on Phone Arena. Gemini AI is coming to Galaxy Watch and Buds, and it's about to change everything. Smarter workouts, faster replies, hands-free help. Google wearables are getting a serious AI upgrade, and luckily I have the right ones to be able to take advantage of all of this. And this was published 3 days ago by Iskra Petrova. So let's drop it into reader view. Samsung has just announced some useful updates for Galaxy Watches that are coming soon. The new features will harness the power of generative AI with Google Gemini. Yep, Gemini is coming to Galaxy Watch and Buds. This will be the first integration of Google Gemini into the Galaxy wearable lineup. Activating Gemini will be even smoother if you're also rocking earbuds from the Galaxy Buds 3 series. Let's see, mine are from the Buds 2. I may have to pick up a new pair. We'll see. This new update coming in the next month will extend generative AI features across the Galaxy ecosystem and enhance the user experience. Gemini integration with Galaxy Watch. The new integration with the AI assistant on Galaxy Watch will allow for hands-free assistance using natural voice commands when you're on the move. Yeah, this would be great on my bike rides. For example, when you're working out or running on a treadmill, you can ask Gemini to remember the locker you're using today so you won't have to worry that you'll forget, and you can focus more fully on your workout. Also, if you receive an important email while you're carrying groceries, you can just ask Gemini to summarize it for you for a quick overview. Gemini would be handling these requests across your app so you can get information quickly and get back to whatever it is you were doing before. Sounds good to me. Gemini integration with Galaxy Buds. Meanwhile, Gemini will also be integrated with Galaxy Buds. Thanks to the update, you can use your voice or pinch and hold controls. You can activate Gemini on your Buds and use it to interact with your Galaxy phone. This will be ideal if your hands are too busy to reach for your phone. So yeah, I have Galaxy Buds 2, which I have on, and Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. So I'm not sure if these will work with them. Samsung doesn't give an exact date for the rollout of these features, but the company underlines that the rollout will begin this summer. The Gemini app's integration with Galaxy Watches and Galaxy Buds make the AI experience even more seamless and useful. Basically, this improves the user experience even more across the entire Galaxy ecosystem. Well, I have the Galaxy Watch 7, so that should be fine. But if they won't work with Buds 2, I'll probably pick up a pair of Buds 3. So, okay. Now, get out of this story. Ted, are you moving around?
No.
Oh. All right, I've got one more story. The Microsoft laying off people. You want that one?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. Microsoft to cut 7,000 positions in its latest layoff. This was on CNN Business. All right, whenever you're ready, sir.
It says my camera's overheating.
No, that's not good.
It shouldn't be. We'll keep going. In fact, I'll turn it on.
Okay, there you go. You look good.
It's not even recording. Why should it be overheating?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, you do live in Dallas, so it's probably hotter than it is in Chattanooga. But
It's 90 degrees in here, so.
Okay.
Maybe that's why it's complaining.
Yeah, that is warm inside. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
All right. So Microsoft to lay off 3% of its I guess, global workforce.
I guess we'll find out later. Go ahead. Oh, wait. Let me drop it into Reader View since they're trying to throw ads on us. Okay, wait a minute. Let me get this out of the way now. Let's see if I can put it in Reader View. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Microsoft is laying 3% of its workforce, or roughly 7,000 employees. CNBC reported on Tuesday as a technology giant looks to rein in costs while funneling billions of dollars into its ambitious bet on AI. The cuts will be across all levels and geographies and are likely to be the largest since Microsoft laid off 10,000 in 2023, according to the report, which cited a company statement. Company let a small number of employees go in January over the performance-related issues, but the latest cuts are not related to that and are focused on trimming management layers. Microsoft did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for a comment. The company stock was slightly lower in morning trading. As AI emerges as a major growth engine, big tech has been pouring money into the space while slashing costs elsewhere to safeguard profit margins. Rival Google also laid off hundreds of employees in the past year as they look to control costs and prioritize AI. Media reports have said Microsoft's reported move comes weeks after the company posted stronger than expected growth in its cloud computer business Azure and blowout results in the latest quarter, calming investors' worries in an uncertain economy. The company had a total of 228 workers with 126,000 employees in the U.S. at the end of June last year, according to an annual filing with the U.S. SEC.
Yeah, so I usually just include these stories because over the years I've been trying to keep up with who's laying off what. So I figure, okay, let's include this one too. So that was our last story of the day. But at least we had Will for a little while and we got you in here, Ted. And I said at the beginning of the show, I said, well, there was no message from Ted. I actually looked on Telegram right after I had started. And I said, that might be a good sign that he may come in here. And then you popped in, which is great.
Mm.
So is it really 90 degrees inside your apartment?
Yeah, I just turned on the AC.
Oh, okay. You're just used to that hot.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working on a programming contract in Addison back in '93, and I had never been to Dallas before. And I had a rented car that my company had given me, of course. And I was my apartment was in Carrollton, so I had a short drive from work back to the apartment. Well, I come out of work one day at 5 o'clock. It's 105 degrees.
That is
And I
hot.
had never dealt with 105 before. And what did I learn that day? When you're getting to a car that's been sitting in the sun and it's 100 degrees, 5 degrees out, do not put your hand on a plastic steering wheel. That's what I learned that day. I put my hand on, I think I had a mark on my palm for about, I don't know, five or 6 days.
Wow. You got to have a windshield cover.
Yeah, exactly, which I didn't have, of course. And of course, I was only in Dallas for 2 months because they had me on the contract for 3 months, but I was kind of an expert in what I did in the live screens development that I did. And I finished it in 2 months, and they thought I had rushed it too much. And after I left, I talked to a friend of mine who was still there working, and he said they tried everything to break my program and they couldn't break it. I said, I told them they couldn't break it. It was just too easy for me, but they thought it was tough. So you disappeared. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. Are you really having that much trouble with your camera, or?
No. My stomach.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Don't throw up on the microphone. All right. I guess we should probably end up the show because you're not feeling good.
Yeah.
Right?
They say the best
Okay.
thing to do is take a walk. Whew.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to say good night, folks. We were very blessed to have both Ted and Will with us tonight. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Will, even though I'm not sure if you can hear us. But I'll be back next week. Maybe we'll be blessed and Ted will be back next week too. We never know. But you guys have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And let's remember, we all do better when we love each other. Good night, folks.